great episode. I'm glad to sit down with my guys here.
Likewise.
You know, we gotta always follow tradition.
Oh yes, of course.
Gotta follow that tradition.
How dare we?
Oh, the spiking in the mics.
Right.
Red.
Only a camera guy would think about
Right.
spiking in the camera in the audio.
I'm around the right people.
I would say you're around the right collection. I feel that way because I feel like it took us a long time for the three of us.
Let's just say God's timing, because then
I love God's timing.
because you gotta think of all the ways it had to happen.
Correct.
Everything that had to happen to get here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So very thankful for that. Very thankful to even be speaking to an audience right now. But more importantly, man, we got some topics to get into.
Oh yes, I've heard.
Yeah,
I read the group chat.
Topicos.
So, you know, like in life, we have options, right?
Yeah.
And the way I want to get into this is life probably wouldn't be as good as it is without options,
Agreed.
right? I say options because when we think of our careers in film, you know, the first thing we have is the option to create different genres of movies.
Yes.
Right? Like horror, comedy, all these different genres. And with that, it gives us a chance to test the limits. Because, like, you know, as filmmakers, like, we have that tendency to kind of get typecast into one type of film, right? The horror, the comedy, or the action, or whatever it is, right?
Very true.
So right now, what we're doing as well is working out those skill sets. We're not going to get into details, but we are working out those skill sets to not be limited by the same repetitive. Because, you know, if we're being honest, we did a little bit of horror a lot in the beginning, and I think that's very typical in this field, because I think you even told me this, Jordan, which is horror is the easiest thing to get into because it's cheap and it's dark.
Also because it's kind of like SoundCloud with rap. Everyone's doing it. Everyone goes to horror first. Like actors and writers. Yeah. Like a lot of your favorite stars have acted in horror movies first. Like that when they were fresh-faced teenagers getting murdered by some slasher. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's you know, it's that's why I'm about to skip the topic, but continue.
Yeah,
I was about to give my answer.
Let me get into it.
It's just easy to say, easy to think of what scares you. That's like, that's the
Yeah.
easy thing to think of.
Yeah.
And I mean, most people are scared of jump scares, so you already have that going for you. You know
Jump
what
I mean,
That's
you
what it's
just
called.
have to have a pulse. But anyway,
But what I want to talk about is I want us to go through a list of, not even really a list, just like, let's just say like our personal genres that we like. And let's just cap it at like 4. I'm going to give 3 because I did a little research prior. You know, your boy.
Okay, now.
But I got 3, and I thought about this really, really hard because I wanted to give genres that really meant something to me and reasoning behind that.
Okay.
To start, the first one I'll go with is comedy. The reason I go with comedy, and we're going to obviously like overlap a lot, so I won't go on forever, but I go with comedy because with comedy, I think it's like the deepest connection to film, because when you're younger, you're not going to watch a lot of horror and killing and all that stuff. Okay. But I think also when I connected to my youth in the 90s, like I think of movies like Friday, I think of, what's another good 90s classic comedy?
Dumb and Dumber.
My mind, and the reason why I froze a little bit there was because Dumb and Dumber was because my mind immediately when I said Friday went to like Boys in the Hood, and I'm like, that is not a comedy.
That's crazy. I went to Menace to Society.
Yeah, so but they're so attached to our childhood, so that's why I had to like pull back.
John Singleton joints. You know.
Yeah, John Singleton. If we take it to TV shows, favorite TV show of all time is probably gonna be Martin. You know, so like,
I can't argue.
Comedy
that.
is just one of those things like you can have a bad day and just watch something funny. And just, you know what I mean?
It's kind of light.
And then, it's light. It's very easy to get into. The second one is going to be action. And I think it's just, for lack of better terms, probably just like the man in me. Just want to see something blow up, flip, somebody get punched. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Something got to blow up. Something blow up.
I hate to be so, what is it, is it misogynist?
No, not really misogynist.
It's just like
maybe chauvinist though. Probably call you chauvinist.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's either of those. It's just being a man. Like,
yeah. And then the last one, so that way y'all could get into this conversation as well, is horror. And what's so weird about horror? I was actually shocked too when I made the list, because I kept trying to think of other things, and I was like, Well, thrillers, I would kind of not necessarily throw them under action, but I would kind of say thriller. But I would almost say that those feel more like they can almost synonymously live by each other for me. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't really have like a definitive like cut of the line of action. This is action. This is a thriller.
Yeah.
So like to me, it's like that was where I was going, but I'm like, well, I could kind of see that falling in. And I want to give completely different genres if I could.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, of course.
And I have some great answers for another time, but essentially, horror because it keeps me on my toes. And I
good
like
horror
that.
keeps you on your
good
toes.
Horror keeps you on your toes. I like that it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
And another thing is kind of like when I watch horror at this age and stage of life, it's not as scary as it is like you almost view it through adult brain. Like, bro, I would have never fell down right there.
I can't watch horror like that. I have to actively watch it because I have to tell myself it's not real. And then I have to tap into the formula and say, okay, I know when this is coming. Just so I can like dull my senses. You know, like when you're about to go over a drop in a roller coaster, you kind of like, as an adult, you know how to prepare yourself. As a kid, you're just like, ah! As an adult, you're like, okay.
A good horror movie won't have you anticipate.
You kind of know when it's coming, like, but you don't know what is coming, but you kind of know it's coming.
Yeah, I get what you said. Continue.
So no, that's it. Just comedy because the nostalgic connection to probably my childhood. Action because I think I just need action. I just need to see something once in a while, just pop, 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 like somebody doing something.
Yeah. And
then horror because again, it's just something about the intrigue of how horror could really get into your mind and like mess with you. And you walk in and you like. You cut the light off, you running down the hallway to make sure you ain't in the dark. Like it's so trippy how horror like affects you even after the fact.
No. Well, I'm gonna share two of those.
Okay. And that's what I meant. I understand.
Yeah, no.
You're probably gonna have similars.
Yeah. Top one is comedy for me because I grew up in a very comedic household. You know, Pop's always telling jokes and we turn around, tell jokes to each other, tell jokes to our friends, you know what I'm saying? Always try to be the funniest. You know, he'll probably, his head will probably blow up from this, but personally, the funniest person I know is my older brother. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You know, but he'll probably even say it. But yeah, comedy is, and of course a nostalgic aspect to it. And of course, besides Disney and Pixar and other animated films, that's what you first started watching. You know what I'm saying? You know, they'll have some, like, for instance, you went to TV shows. We was talking Rocko's Modern Life the other day.
Yeah. That wild ass show.
It's so wild, but it's so good. No,
just the name alone is like crazy.
He's one of the best dumb sidekicks ever. Because you know every show has
time
that
somebody
dumb
says
sidekick.
Rocko's Modern Life, all that goes through my mind is, oh baby, oh baby, oh baby. If you know, you know.
This man worked for a sex hotline
so
on a children's show.
Who was
Rocko?
It was Rocko?
Yeah, we'll show you after the episode.
Yeah. His neighbors was a trip too.
The big heads, yeah.
Unhappy marriage, bro.
And the wife
said an unhappy marriage.
No, the wife wanted to smash Rocko. You forgot? Like she been wanted to.
Anyway, it's been a minute. Because I don't see it on TV ever.
No, you got to search it on YouTube.
Yeah, you got to search it.
They had like
shouldn't be on TV.
They had a small little COVID reboot, right? And then just like a one-time thing. Yeah, I think it was like a little short film. Comedy because of that reason. And me and my family always challenge. Me and my friends too. Y'all always challenge each other. Who could be the funniest? When we go out, when we chill and everything. So, and now after some great insight from the mind of Jordan Peele, Get Out, Us, and all that. He's like the only difference between horror and comedy is the music.
Yeah.
And he's right. And a great example is if you haven't seen Get Out, it's in the trailer. Remember when he went out to smoke a cigarette, the dude's running at him? If he said if you was to put like the Benny Hill music, it would be hilarious. The man just run in the middle of the yard in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, what the fuck is he? You know what I'm saying? So, second is horror. And that's because, one, I was overcoming a fear. Because once again, my older brother used to watch it when he was younger. He used to scare us. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. This is not scary. I'm going to embrace it. And then I fell in love with it. I was like, these are actually some good movies. You know what I'm saying? Pretty grim and gory, but you know what I'm saying? And I truly believe it could be number one because when a horror film is done very, very well, it's nominated for an Oscar, like The Exorcist. The Exorcist. The first
Name
Exorcist.
something more recent though. That's the thing about
more recent than that.
You just mentioned it.
Yeah, it's the only. Oh, Silence of the Lambs, 1991.
Get Out.
Oh, Get Out. Yes,
Get
I'm
Out,
tripping. Yes, Get Out.
Okay.
So
okay.
when it's done
No,
well,
you're right.
yeah,
Right.
when it's done well, people.
Because I'm like, horror does go quite a bit of time without any awards or.
Major awards.
Major awards.
You'll get the the fan favorite and like Saturn Award. Not to take anything for Saturn, but people focus on Oscars and Golden Globes. But when it's done well, like holy shit, because every year someone comes out with a new Jason, Michael Myers. But if you can sift through that and make yourself seen amongst all of that, it's just so great. Like
it's a paradigm shift every time. The award winner, then you have a bunch of copycats. Then the paradigm shift again, and copycats.
Exactly.
It's kind of like how horror has traveled throughout time.
Exactly. Halloween is the best example because from what I know, it's the first of its kind. After that, everybody had a masked, knife-wielding killer who was unconscious.
Night of Living
you know
Dead
what I'm saying?
Night of Living Dead, I think it's John Carpenter. Don't quote me on that.
No. I believe it is, yeah.
Or Alfa Romeo. Night of Living Dead was like
bloody
slasher.
Yes,
that's
yes,
first.
yes.
That's the first.
And that was the one in black and white.
Yeah.
It was in black and white. It was still scary. You know what I'm saying? But it had a message. Not gonna spoil the end of that. Because so good.
That, it was like Frankenstein, Mummy.
Exactly.
It was like individual.
Swamp Thing.
Yeah, it was like individual characters. Yeah.
Wolfman, you know what I'm saying? So there is a paradigm shift, but when horror is good, it is good. Now, outside of horror and comedy, so comedy horror, the third one can kind of be considered horror sometimes, but it's a good thriller. Because 90s thriller, it's its own thing, though. I don't understand. Stuff like Basic Instinct, The Game.
I can't do that part.
Both of those with Michael Douglas. I don't know why Michael Douglas loves thrillers.
You were just thinking Basic Instinct.
So you said thriller.
No, thrillers. Yeah, that's my third genre.
That's your third one? Okay.
Yeah. Like a good
suspense
thriller.
Okay.
I think
Thriller's like thriller. So maneuverable.
Yeah, because you can do an action thriller. Like I would consider Die Hard an action thriller.
Yeah.
That's straight action. It's a Christmas movie.
Yes.
It
is also Christmas
thrillers
movie.
Now.
Yeah.
Where you just have like I just watched Day Shift the other day, and it's Jamie Foxx.
That's a comedy?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, it might as well be, bro. It could
it's
solely
nice
be it could solely be Jamie Foxx, but there was moments like he was getting tossed around and he was like, "Oh, I should have got another job." I'm like, bro, I don't think they told him to say that right there. But like Jamie's delivery made it more like a comedy, and the fact that it was so much action.
He was carrying that movie. That whole
boy,
movie.
did he? He carried the hell out of it. I feel like that was a COVID movie though. Like something he made during that time, and just to keep it going. Yeah,
I think Who Cloned Tyrone was low key really good.
Yeah, low key. That was high key good.
No one. Not. I don't want to say
think
no
it was high
one
key
for what
good.
it was.
But and after this, we probably get on Cam's list. But like,
Sitting here waiting.
I just feel like with that one, it's like everyone appreciates it, no one speaks of it.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard one bad review.
It's in the Netflix universe, kind of stuck between everything. It's like even if you have something good on Netflix, it's still a Netflix movie. It's gonna get stuck in that universe.
Correct.
But it's shined through. It shined through.
Shown.
Man, we've been fucking up words this whole episode. But anyways, Cam, go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna go in different genres for me. I think my number one is sci-fi.
Oh, I'm so glad you went different. Yeah. That's nice.
What I love is world building. Because when you have like a regular movie, something that's placed in your time, you got to think of like your politics, your physics, your state of affairs between whatever's going on, and expand it or bring it inwards into the story. Mm-hmm. So you think, oh, this movie set in early 90s. You think, okay, what was happening in the 90s? Well, this is happening. This happening. But when you have sci-fi, you got to go from the story outwards. Because you got to look at the story and think, okay, what's happening in this world? It's completely different from what you know. So I love the aspect of world building, and because of that world building, it affects the character, and I think that's really interesting.
That's a good point. So like
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I think fantasy sci-fi going along. What they say, the difference between sci-fi and fantasy is elves versus aliens. It's the same shit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah.
It's pretty much the same shit.
Because it's science fiction and fantasy. fantasy doesn't
have. Good one, though.
I think that's my top two because they're kind of melded into each other. It's kind of the same concept.
So
sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah,
fantasy. Okay.
I love world building. Anime to me is interesting because of the whole lore of what's going on in the world, and I'll go with family movies.
Oh, you can't go wrong with that.
You know how hard it was for me to not put a romantic comedy? Bro,
everybody has a favorite romantic comedy.
Bro, Love and Basketball.
Forget about
all those type of movies.
Love Jones, Brown Sugar. Come on.
For me, there's a thin line between rom-com and
thin line between love and hate. That's another one.
When it's too cheesy and it's like
no, for sure.
Yeah. I like when it's a good.
But I like a good rom-com though, bro. Kind of like
a good one. A good one. I get you. A good family movie. Like it tugs on your heartstrings. Yeah. Like for me, a random one that me and my wife found was Mr. Church with Eddie Murphy.
I heard that was good.
I heard that.
It was just it's an unassuming movie. She just put it on, but it's good.
I ain't gonna lie, you probably have some of the best movie watching nights because I don't want to get too personal, but I know you got you always talk about your family. And all that. But imagine, especially we always, not to be sexist or nothing, but we always look at the man as the head of the household almost, right? The protector.
Yeah.
So imagine you there, you got your wife here, and you got your kid there, maybe your other kid down there. I feel like there's got to be a moment when you're watching a movie that you kind of
it's nice. It's nice.
This is dope, bro.
We've been able to have a couple of
family movie,
push everything back. Everybody sits on the floor and get some popcorn.
That's what I'm saying.
It's really nice. It's really nice.
I just want to make an honorable mention. I don't want to make a huge statement about this, but I will say documentaries.
Yeah.
I know they're not necessarily film, but the way they make documentaries now, man, they find something that happened in '92, and I'm locked in for 8 episodes, bro.
Blackfish?
I don't care what it is, bro.
Blackfish,
it could be an oil rig went down in '92. It's something also about seeing the footage and the updated interviews. Yeah, it's just something, even though it doesn't have the cinematic quality, but I think that's a good honorable
You just listen
mention.
to the information oh my gosh, that happened.
And
we don't like him anymore? What did he do?
The only thing scarier than a horror movie is a horror documentary. That shit's real.
Now you watching real shit.
For real.
Cue the Unsolved Mysteries. I think we brought up some other ones. You talked about Friday, Boys in the Hood. Menace to Society. Just that triumvirate right there. You think about that era.
That's a lot going on right now.
I think that era, that's what really got me into not just movie, just seeing black people make movies. Because then you got Do the Right Thing, School Days, Spike Lee.
Do the Right Thing was 80s. It was 88 to be exact.
Well,
88, 89.
Well, he saw it in the 90s. Okay?
I saw it in the 90s.
I saw it in 2000.
It led into Malcolm X. It was really a coming age for black cinematic filmmakers. And I think for me, that was when I saw who was behind those cameras and who was making those, I was hey, they look like me. I can do that.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't portray I'm not from South Central, I'm not from the hood, but these, I identified them because they look like me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, in a sense, those stories are to, first of all, I want to say, let's stop batting down the fact that you didn't grow up in the ghetto. Your parents worked hard.
I didn't want to say ghetto.
Whether it is or not, if it's just disenfranchised or whatever the case is, right?
Or lower
income, whatever it is. I had some of that, but then I also didn't have some of that. Depend on where we were in life. But at the end of the day, bro, the goal, one of the goals of this, even what we're doing, is to show young black, brown girls and boys that they have other opportunities. So I want to that ain't got nothing to do with film. I just want it to go out there. You know what I mean?
That's not what I was saying too.
I get that.
I'm jealous of them. It's I'll just let you know I don't identify specifically with that. But I know as soon as I enter that area, I'm one of y'all.
Correct. Yeah. And also at the same time, knowing that is a movie that whether you're in that predicament, you can't get out of the hood or whatever you want to call it, that can happen. This is a possibility, but also for those who are probably more privileged, in a sense, just because you grew up in a neighborhood that's probably more diverse. Maybe you grew up with a little bit more money than someone. It doesn't matter. your skin color still gonna make you that in that neighborhood.
Yep.
And what you're saying,
we got to get away from that. We got to rebuild these neighborhoods. We got to do better in those neighborhoods so that is eradicated. You know what I mean?
I think Friday did a good job of not telling a story that's in the hood. It's just a story about a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I feel like when I look at that, like minus the the older people, it was me and my homies like walking around the hood, going to the park,
dealing with the bullies.
To the store. Like there were some bullies. Sometimes we were the bullies.
Yeah.
But it's just it wasn't didn't talk about their situation. Just like, hey, this is where they live. This is what they go through.
That was kind of one of the first times, and I'll go into my era, by the way. That was one of the first times that you start to see us on camera more, right? Outside of being like a character in a PW, predominantly white, I almost said PWI, but predominantly white film. Yeah. You know, where we're playing the butler. Or we're playing the guy doing the yard, or the slave.
Or
you get what I'm saying? Like, or the crackhead, or the
runner. Yeah.
So thief, to your point, that was the first time we just saw regular ass black people.
Yeah.
Just doing normal shit that we do. You know what I mean? And Boomerang, Boomerang was on some player shit though. I watched it about 3 weeks ago.
A movie like that hasn't been done like ever. That's just a story.
They need to redo it. It was a bad movie.
I had to take notes on this one because I had a specific way I wanted to tell y'all this. So the modern era, the dawn of the modern era brought in the major movie budget. So in I think it was like the 40s, 50s, maybe earlier than that, is when that modern era converted. Okay. So like I enjoy that era because that's when movies became serious. Like it wasn't just like, oh, what are you doing? Like that's not serious stuff. It became serious. That's when the career started. That's when the movie stars started. So I have to appreciate that era. Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart and
correct. But then I would say I'm gonna do a mix of the era in the 90s because I think in the 90s, similar to Friday, if you look at the research, there was a lot of hustling for Cube to get that money together. It was very low budget. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So like the hustle,
even though he
was
like a star already.
Correct, from all his rap years. Yeah. I'm sure if we looked into it, movies like Kid and Play probably had those experiences. So like
House Party and all that. Yeah.
I think it just showed a lot of the hustle, and then I also wrote down here on top of the hustle, it also showed the good storytelling started coming out. Yeah. Right, and it was also when Friday and all those movies about us started coming out. Yeah. And when I look at the 2000s, which is kind of the current era, I would say that's when like movies, in my opinion, took on like franchises. Like they became their own entities. IPs, and like, you know what I mean? Like movies, they weren't the same after 2000, after like Matrix and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Matrix
you introduced a lot of CGI. I would say the 90s is probably going to be the one I choose when I think of an era, because in the 90s, I look at a movie made right now, right? And it could be a comedy. If they can, they'll throw CGI in there. They'll make something happen. They'll do something. But in the 90s, we have these movies that were literally tugging at our heartstrings, and they were made with just cameras and lighting. So I think that's the appreciation I have for it, is it took people like great writers, people who understood lighting, gaffing, you get what I'm saying? Directors who really wanted to create a great movie before the technology advanced so far.
Okay, I'll let him go.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, my choice is the 90s too. And, if I had to, have a choice just to, kind of not be repetitive, it would definitely be the 80s. And I think you know why, because that was the rise of the slasher.
I'm actually shocked.
The hash-slinging slasher.
The hash-slinging, the slasher. No. Honestly, that's when, Halloween was born, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm going to push back,
and we can end after this.
But, my choice is still the 90s because, like we said, it was a rise of black creators, not just actors, but producers, writers, directors, black all across the board. Yeah, it came back with, and also whether you know it or not, it was the rise of, I don't know if you mentioned, of the independent filmmaker, because you have, what's the name was kind of the harbinger of that, Tarantino. With Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction on the Austin is like, oh, we can make low budget films, you know what I'm saying? So he was kind of the
Clerks too.
Clerks. Shout out not Kevin James.
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith. Shout out Kevin Smith. Clerks.
The guy named Jay
and Silent Bob. Yeah. He's Silent Bob. Yeah. But yeah, Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, like you said, John Singleton, Ice Cube, Spike Lee been independent. You know what I'm saying? But he also got Jungle Fever, even though Do the Right Thing was 89.
You mean he made Jungle Fever?
He doesn't have
Don't say he had
No.
Jungle Fever. Nigga.
His wife was black.
Yeah. He created Jungle Fever. Malcolm X came out in the 90s. And that was, I was born in 88. So by the 2000s, when the 2000s come out, I was 12. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to watch that was all of my formative years.
No.
And you know what I'm saying? So
I have to push back.
Push back on what though?
The 90s.
I thought you chose the 90s.
No, I chose the 90s. But I'm pushing back because I thought you were going to say the 2010s.
No, 2010s is up
You know
there.
why, right?
Why? Oh, because of Marvel. All right, no,
Stinky superheroes.
No.
bro.
All right, see, there's nothing wrong with the superhero. I still love superhero movies, and I wasn't always a comic book fan, so it was the other way around. I watched the movies and went to the comic books. Shout out my cousin. He does comics. He can draw very well.
Oh,
it's a
dope.
gene in my family that skipped over me, and he used to tell us, growing up, like, oh, this is the origin. You didn't listen. But then you watch it on film, like, damn, this is what my cousin telling me about. Let me go research the rest of this shit. You know what I'm saying? So 2010s are up there. I'm not going to, deny. Iron Man came out in 08, though, if you're being technical.
Okay.
But, yeah, still for me, it's the
Blade
90s.
came out
But
2000? Blade 2001? 2000?
Blade was like 04, I want to say, 03, 04. I remember being in middle school, high school,
around
yeah.
there, yeah.
I want to bring up something economically. I think the reason why we agree on the 90s, I think that's the last time movies were like just pure, not pure, but were made.
No, pure.
People were taking a chance on them and just like, hey, let's make a good project. After that, when it started making money, that's when they became like investments, and that's when you start seeing the 150,
But then that's when the soul
200,
Yeah.
and that's when capitalism just reaches in and kind of poisons everything.
Exactly.
Because it
Unfortunately.
ruins. I mean,
Ruins.
we do get a lot of good things with capitalism because they take a chance on Iron Man and the Marvel stuff, but sometimes it just ruins movies, man.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, just like everything, once it starts getting popular, it gets oversaturated. But that's why it's great to have individuals like us to bring back that purity of it. You know what I'm saying? There's always
here.
Yeah, we always gonna be here. But I know we usually hit y'all with 3. Had to go 2 today because we were passionate. I saw it in y'all eyes. I'm proud.
I had a lot of pushback.
For real. Well, I love to push that. It creates great combos. But we'll definitely have same episode for y'all next week. Same insight, same humor, same information. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all next episode. Appreciate y'all boys. Deuces.